After 9 years, I found out my boyfriend cheated on me with my own sister. My whole family is on their side. I grew up in a very traditional home. My parents were also strict to the core and they didn't allow most of what other parents permitted. For instance, none of us siblings could go to spend the night or weekend with any of our friends. It was a lot of struggles for us because we also wanted freedom to an extent, and then staying home every time was somewhat boring, but we got used to it in no time and accepted our fate. Since I started puberty, I discovered that most of the things my teacher taught us at school that we would experience weren't happening to me. I didn't get any weird sensation and especially no attraction towards the female sex. I knew it was very outlandish, so I tried my best to find girls attractive, but it still wasn't working. I used to keep to myself and did not bother discussing this with anyone. It took me a while, but when I was 17, I stumbled on something about people like me and then realized they were called homosexuals. It took me a lot to finally accept that I was one too, but I did. I summoned up courage to tell my brother, who was 13 at the time, and my sister, who was 8 at the time. They didn't seem fazed about it and nothing changed between us. Maybe it was because they were still very young then and didn't understand the implication, but they totally accepted me and didn't segregate like I had read in some articles. After a while, I decided to also tell my parents about it. I didn't expect them to accept me like that, and I wasn't surprised by their reaction. My mother took my news with an obvious frown, after which she started questioning me. She asked a million times if I was sure of what I was saying or merely confusing my emotions. She then suggested that it was a phase I was passing through, but I stood my ground and told her I was sure of what and how I felt. She then accepted it and told me to be very careful in my dealings. Next, I told my father. He listened to me speak, and when I was done, told me he would never accept that his son was homosexual. I could see it in his eyes that he was not happy with me. I thought maybe as I grew, he would come to terms with my reality, but even till this moment, he clearly isn't happy at all. About 2 years later, I met a guy and totally fell in love with him. We started out as friends, but we soon moved to starting a relationship. I believed he was perfect for me because we understood each other and seldom had any arguments or things like that. We soon got an apartment and began to live together. It has been 3 years since that happened. Living together was a big dream come true for me, and I loved and cared for him. Staying with him made me feel safe and loved too. Time flies so quickly though. Because I was good at remembering things, I always took note of the years of our relationship. My partner wasn't like me. I always had to remind him when it was our anniversary, but I didn't mind this. About 10 months ago, we celebrated 9 years of being in a relationship. I thought it was a milestone and worth celebrating, but my boyfriend didn't quite seem to share the same view as me. Anyway, I forced him into throwing an evening party with some friends and family members. My sister and brother were around, and some of his friends too graced the occasion. I was more than delighted to see how he related so well with my siblings and especially my sister. The way the both of them spoke like they had known each other for long gave me the impression that my siblings not only accepted me but also my boyfriend. While the party went on, my boyfriend seemed completely engrossed in conversing with my sister, and I was the only one doing the running around. Even when the party was over, they were still talking but had this time moved to the house, so I didn't see them. I knew my sister was one who likes to engage people in discussions, so I wasn't surprised at how she had trapped my boyfriend. The next day, my boyfriend asked for my sister's number. I playfully asked him why, and he said he liked her. Then, realizing how odd that sounded, he added, "The way she holds conversations and all." I gave him her number and he hasn't talked about her again since then. On my part, I didn't suspect anything because I knew my boyfriend was also homosexual and he couldn't be attracted to girls in any sexual way. But sometimes, I had this weird feeling that I could be wrong. Countless times, I thought I caught my boyfriend staring at some pretty lady who walks past and drooling, but I usually discarded such thoughts. There were also times I would find him texting late at night and laughing too. Sometimes, it made me feel jealous, but I was convinced it was just one of his old classmates. But a couple of months ago, after our little party, I took my phone and headed to the bathroom. I spent a lot of time there because I was usually watching some YouTube videos and stuff like that. While I was watching a video, I noticed I had taken the wrong phone. Our phones had matching cases, which I got for our anniversary, so I wasn't surprised that happened. I continued watching my video on YouTube, hoping to return the phone when I was done. However, the phone got a notification just as I was about to leave the bathroom, and it made me pause. Out of curiosity, I checked, believing it must be something important. I would never have been prepared for what I saw. Instead, it was a nude. I wasn't proud of what I did after. I never looked into his phone because I totally trusted him, but this was one great shocker to me. I didn't know when I started scrolling through their conversation. My heart got shattered the more I scrolled, but I couldn't stop myself. I discovered that there was a lot of exchange of nudes, sexting, and even a couple of sex videos of the both of them. Hot tears were streaming down my face as I saw these things. I felt so disgusted, sick, and humiliated. I threw up in the toilet bowl for about 2 minutes before I felt normal. I patiently scrolled to check the beginning of their conversation and discovered it was the time my boyfriend asked for my sister's number. Another shocker I saw was that the night of our anniversary, when I thought they were having a harmless conversation, I was wrong. From their text, I saw that they had actually been flirting when I thought they were having a discussion. So my boyfriend had been cheating on me with my sister? I couldn't take it anymore, so I rushed out to meet him and tell him about what I just read. He didn't realize what I was talking about until I threw his phone at him with their conversation open. I watched as his mouth opened in shock and embarrassment. He tried to calm me down, saying it wasn't what I was thinking. I would have kicked him hard in the ass at that point, but I managed to control myself. Instead, I left him to go pack my things, announced our breakup and left the house. But that was not the end, and things only got worse for me. I moved back to my parents' house, and the first thing that happened when I arrived was my sister slapping me on my face with all her strength for what had occurred between me and my ex. Apparently, everyone in my family knew about it, and for some reason, almost everyone was on my sister's side. At first, I got some support, telling me it was okay to feel hurt, but that didn't last long before they took my sister's side when my sister and my ex started their relationship. My mom told me point blank that I could be mad at them because you don't choose who you fall in love with. She also told me to forgive them and let go, and that I should be happy because they were happy. My dad was in a "I am not fine with this, but at least she is happy" and with a good guy mood. Almost everyone was just waiting for me to accept their relationship and be happy for them, like the last 9 years never happened and like they never hurt me in this way. My sister believed she didn't do anything wrong and that she didn't have any fault falling in love. She even posted on her Instagram about what was happening, painting me as the obstacle to finding her true love. While all these happened, my ex reached out to me and tried to apologize. He said he never meant to hurt me, but that he couldn't avoid it. He said he found out that he was bi and confirmed my suspicion of those times. He even said he still loved me and didn't want to lose me, and even dared to suggest a polyamorous relationship. The only person who has been on my side since everything started is my brother. He was my best friend and biggest support system those days. He was as mad as I was with everything that happened and even punched my ex the first time he saw him. Things quickly moved from bad to worse. I was forced to spend Christmas with my family and both of them were there. Everyone expected me to be happy and celebrate. I received a lot of deadly glares and bad comments about me ruining the mood, to stop being dramatic and get over it. My mom even told me that if I couldn't be polite, I should leave after I refused to take a family photo. The days following then have been crazy, but I made up my mind to leave the house if I wanted to remain sane. I discussed this with my brother and he egged me on because he was the only one who knew how I was feeling. Before leaving, I acted like a rock, trying not to give them any emotion. My mother took it as a sign that I was already getting over it. She asked if I now realized how easier and happier everyone is now that I have stopped being dramatic. Every word she uttered only made me realize how I needed to get away from them. I waited until last Sunday, and when everyone went to church like the perfect happy family they were not, I called my friends, and with my brother's help too, I moved all my stuff out of the house. At the time, I had not finalized my moving out. One of my friends offered to keep most of my stuff at his place and I agreed. When I was done moving it to his house, I got myself a nice hotel to stay in while I figured what to do next. Before leaving my parents' house, I left a note on the table to them, basically saying how much they hurt me by not only taking my sister's side when she was clearly in the wrong, but also by celebrating their affair and making me feel like I had no right to do or feel anything. I told them that I realized how they never actually accepted me and would rather see me hurt and suffer than be happy with another man. I ended my note by saying that I would be out of their lives and that I wouldn't contact, and expected them to also do the same. I told them to be good parents and take care of my sister because I suspected my ex would eventually hurt her. I blocked all of them, and from the things some friends and neighbors told me, when my parents came back and realized what had happened, my dad was furious and my mom had a meltdown. My sister cried about me doing all this drama just to hurt her. They tried everything to contact me, called some of my relatives to try to find me, to the point that my dad called my brother, demanding answers from him. He even ordered him to tell me that I must go back home, stop this nonsense and apologize or there will be consequences. He told my dad that he didn't know anything, and he told me everything shortly after. I moved to my new place soon after and started going for therapy. It felt good talking about this and being told that it was okay to feel the way I did and that I was not the one in the wrong here. It took some time to heal, but I eventually did. I didn't hate my sister or dislike my ex. I just hoped that he would not cheat on her the same way he cheated on me.